Ladies and gentlemen, today marks the day, Thursday, January 19th, 2023, where the debt ceiling deal should have already been reached. And now Janet Yellen has to essentially borrow money or fund the national debt in creative ways. So why are we at this point? Representative Matt Gaetz and other Republicans are doing the right thing. They're not negotiating with Democrats because Democrats do not want to stop spending. That's all they want to do is spend. The issue is not, well, you have all this money for defense. Why don't you have money for social safety net? That argument flies out the window when the Democratic Party and media and pundits pushed, and bureaucrats especially pushed, to end economic activity, thus pumping in $10 trillion into the economy. Then the rebuttal is, well, you bailed out Wall Street. Yeah, because lending would have ground to a halt, and you would have had even more layoffs. Unfortunately, Wall Street is tied directly to Main Street. Again, it was terrible that we had to pump $10 trillion in fiscal and monetary stimulus because Democrats decided to, in their states, Pritzker, Newsom, Cuomo, Whitmer, they led the charge and other Democratic governors led the charge. They were the first to shut down economic activity and the last to open up. And it was a choice, so that's number one. The people who are still we are still suffering today from that decision led by a fabricated consensus from Twitter, government officials, and the Democratic Party. The Twitter files show that one of the reasons we shut down all economic activity in this country for a couple of years, for well over a year in many states, was because, well, let's say most economic or a good part of economic activity was because of a fabricated consensus emanating from Twitter that government agencies and bureaucrats and Democrats pushed for. There's no amount of revisionist history they can absolve Democrats of blame for tanking the U.S. economy. And it was a choice. They did not have to do so. Just because something is serious and people's lives are at stake doesn't mean you engage in the most apoplectic and hysterical and frenzied response and the most counterproductive response. We're not even getting to $50 billion sent to a never-ending military conflict that could have been averted had Trump been in office. Yes, had Trump been in office, there would have been some emphasis on a peace deal, a negotiated deal, a settlement, something to at least if the average Democrat would rather have never-ending conflict in Europe and they revere our alliance in Europe, which basically is us. We're defending all of Europe from you-know-who, which, by the way, Democrats, the Clintons, and others had far more ties to than Trump ever did, yet that whole thing with 2016, yet again, leading to the Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders was cheated, and that was the fault of another country to let you know. But Matt Gaetz is leading the charge on not giving in. The House Republicans have to get Democrats to cut spending, maybe not on social services because we need the safety net, especially when we have greater poverty. The poverty level has increased since 2019. 2020 was not Trump's fault at all. It was not his. He kept saying we have to open up. And then media, Washington Post and others said, the experts say it's too soon. The interesting thing, and I say this all love, God bless everybody, left, right, center. I wish you only happiness and prosperous new year in 2023. I don't care if you're a liberal, Democrat, socialist, communist. God bless you. I love you. And you know what? Only the best, for you and happiness and joy and everything this year. Safe and wonderful 2023 and beyond. And if you're a Trump supporter, voting for Trump like I am, and because I want a great economy back, I want a record low poverty we had in 2019. I want a negotiated settlement to these conflicts like Trump would have negotiated. I want the Doha agreement that Biden completely botched, but it was Trump that forced Biden's hand into removing Americans, the same Americans he sent 20 years ago. Biden, the political winds have always guided Biden. He doesn't have a true value system, just like Kerry and all these people. Kerry did a complete, turn, 180 degree turn on a whole number of issues. So is Clinton's always. Both Clintons are always. The Democrats, they rest upon, they stand upon this soapbox of virtue, but in reality, they're just expedient, political expediency all the time. Hit subscribe to this channel, by the way, 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. every single day. I'll start doing more work again on Congress and what's going on with the debt ceiling and all of that. I thought people would be interested in Alec Baldwin finally getting involuntary manslaughter. I think that you have a man who, is obvious, not just narcissist, but, harmful to society with what he accidentally did, ending someone's life, finally got exactly the legal consequences he deserves. And people are, nothing's ever going to happen. Well, you see they're happening now. Biden's classified document scandal is only getting worse. They want him out of office. They want, I believe, Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, to replace Biden. But like I always say, it's all good. If you're watching this channel, it doesn't matter what your political leaning is. I just want you to have a happy and healthy 2023 and beyond. Every day also, 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. on H.A. Goodman's other channel. I apologize. Past couple of days have been a little bit difficult for me, but I will get back to 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. every single day starting tomorrow again on H.A. Goodman's other channel. And what can I tell you? Become part of a Patreon. The Patreon is below to my members. Thank you so very, very much, my Patreon. Thank you. Become a member of the channel. The super thanks is below, and thank you for that. And also, HAGoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. You can't just, if you're a Democrat, you can't just say, well, we're going to default on our debt. We're going to default on our debt. It's all the Republicans' fault. You spent, you put trillion-dollar deficits because you shut down the economy, and then you have all of these Inflation Reduction Act and infrastructure and all of these issues that you think are important, but it wasn't. We never had infrastructure was actually something that Trump ran on. The mindset of the Democratic Party, and I come with a distinct vantage point, but like I said, if you're watching, no matter what you believe, I just thank you for watching. You spend, the economy tanks, you spend more, inflation goes up, you spend more, and then you say, well, you have money for defense. Then you just fund a never-ending war in Europe. And then you say, well, you have money for defense. The liberal line, I speak liberal. You might not speak liberal. I speak liberal Democrat. The liberal response is, well, you have money for defense. You're the one who wants the defense spending. The Republicans want to cut defense spending. Now Democrats want to continue defense. The furthest left socialist, communist type person with different color hair wants defense spending. And they say, well, we don't want defense spending, but you vote Democrat. You vote Democrat. Green Party would mean you don't want defense spending, but the Green Party has been swallowed up by the Democratic Party. AOC and Bernie Sanders exist to funnel Green Party voters back into the Democratic Party. So, I mean, that's a racket on the left. But what Matt Gaetz and Republicans are doing is a very good thing. They're forcing Democrats to decide what they want to cut in terms of spending, okay? It will be very interesting to see if Democrats choose defense or if they choose entitlements. They obviously won't choose entitlements, but they won't cut down on defense spending. So then they have other pet projects that they have that they don't want to touch. So it's not for Trump Republicans who took over the House of Representatives because the economy's tanking. It's not for them to give in to Democrats. It's the Democrats now who take us to the brink of default. They kept spending the past couple of years, shutting down the economy, trillion-dollar deficits, debt ballooning. We have credit card debt because people's lives have been upended. It was a trauma inflicted upon this country by our response. A trauma inflicted upon this country, this nation, by our response led by the adults in the room. And who are the adults in the room always? The morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats, oftentimes and almost always apoplectic and frenzied about everything. If you don't listen to them, the sky will fall. You listen to them, the sky still falls. And then you say, well, then the rebuttal is you didn't listen to us enough. That's why the sky is falling. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. What Matt Gaetz and McCarthy and Republicans are doing is very, very good. Debt limit, debt ceiling, that default, that's on the Democrats in the Senate and the House. The Senate and the presidency. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll be back in